Okay, this is going to be my first voiceover for a video game. This is of Diablo 3. This is the PTR, and I'm doing a Greater Rift. Right now I'm very excited because these are skeletons, and it's the Dream Rift. They're easy minions, they don't have very good abilities on their own. When you start to get serious about the game, the affixes the monsters have can be troublesome depending on how they're paired up. But more than that, what you're really concerned about is just the base monster themselves, because they're actually going to make things a lot different. Other than maybe some very, very annoying combinations of affixes. But then again, if it's a root dangerous monster with that, it's even more worrisome. So skeletons is the easiest. In the PTR, they're changing how Greater Rifts give you the energy to summon the Rift Guardian and then finish it. Instead of redistributing monsters, and it's a very bad distribution in the first place. I don't know how they ever decided to put witches, demons, and bugs together. I don't know how they decided to put all the skeletons together. I mean, they're very well themed for the most part, but the difficulty of them, it's quite ludicrous. So what they're doing with the PTR is weaker minions give you less, so these skeletons give you way less than they used to relatively. But from my perspective playing, I didn't notice it that much. Like, yeah, when I played a harder Rift, I felt like I got a little bit more from each enemy, but just the fact that these skeletons are just pushovers, I'd still rather go for them. So for instance, before this, I did a Rift with, not witches and demons, which is probably the hardest. I forget the actual one. There's just one really annoying type of monster, and it just totally fucked up my whole run, while this goes just, it's like the dream smooth. I also get some good pylons and shit like that. So talking about how the PTR elsewise is going to change the game, is the game is going more and more towards sets. It's basically been like that since Greater Rifts, but I would say it's going to become even more important, which I'm fine with. Sets are cool, right? I just thought it was really interesting. So they have this thing called the Heroic Cube, and you can remove legendary affixes from legendary items, and that's what makes legendary items good, is the affix, right? Otherwise you'd wear a set or just, you know, something with good stats. So you can get one weapon affix, you can get one armor affix, and one jewelry slot affix. So how this is going to really affect monks in particular is the fact that you don't need to run Flying Dragon. Flying Dragon is almost required for any build that actually uses one of the primary attacks. And not having to run it gives you so many options. It just... the options are basically endless, and the root way you're going to go with it is you're going to use this new set, or the reworked set of Shenlongs, which has been a joke of a set for, I don't know, ever, I think, really. And how the set works now, and you kind of see me doing it, I'm actually getting better at it. By the way, that's a really unlucky vortex, but I'm not even worried. Like, I procced in a different Rift, and I was like way more careful than I am now. I'm still pretty careful, I don't want to lose this character. Some of this gear is pretty good. But what Shenlongs do is what I'm wearing right now is, it's one hands, which means you attack faster. You get the Flying Dragon passive, which means it doubles your attack speed, right? So your attack speed just goes through the roof. So you generate spirit like a beast. That's why you're running Fist of Thunder Quickening. I've actually thought about trying to use Way of the 100 Fist, the fire one. More for the fact that it combines really well with Breath of Heaven. The problem is it just doesn't combine as well with Dashing Strike, which is still the best build. Because Fist of Thunder lets you dash basically whenever you want. Way of the 100 Strikes, you feel a little slower and clunkier because you're caught in attack animations. But I feel like with Zodiac passive removed, Way of the 100 Fist could be very good for spirit generation. I don't know if it's even better, which is the only way you really run it. You get a little more primary damage, it's not that important. Back to Shenlong, so you could really understand what's going to make monks so much different, is when you're at max spirit, you do 300% damage. And every second you vomit, there's like a better word for it, 65 spirit. And when you run out, it starts the process over again. But while you're running out, you are doing a percentage of 300% max damage. So if you're at half your spirit, I think it's about 150%. I'm not positive about that. I don't know if it's linear. But you definitely, if you have more spirit, you'll be doing ridiculous amounts of damage. So what you really want to try and do with this build, which is why Flying Dragon is good, which is why one hands are good, you need them for the Shenlong set anyways, is so you can generate spirit ludicrously fast, get to the max, try to stay around there, So one of the clunky parts about it is if you don't have Breath of Heaven, Epiphany's not enough. You really need Breath of Heaven to try and fight that spirit vomiting. And if you do have Breath of Heaven, which is why you get Zodiac as your passive removal, which I'll explain in a second, you can actually fight it, get back up, get better dashes. The next level strat would be to understand when you're not going to be able to fight it, and just to run out of spirit, which can actually be a little more hard than you think. It's just something I gotta get used to. It's basically the one thing that makes it clunky, is when do you actually want to just run out of spirit because you're just fighting it for just to fight it. Like, yeah, your primaries will do more damage, but will you have enough spirit to dashing strike? Will you be using your charges and just left like a wet fish for a little bit, you know, smacking them for like 500 mil at that, if that? So that's the big reason about this legendary fix being removed for Flying Dragon and the new set. And then you go to the other affixes you can remove. So last season, lots of hardcore people actually went fire. I went cold because cold gives you 40% dodge. I love dodge. Once they redesigned dexterity and gave dexterity armor and gave monk abilities dodge, it's an amazing combination for toughness. But in the end, what you could do with fire, and it was just the better option overall once you got certain gear. So now is even less reason to run cold, because cold doesn't really give you a great option to remove an affix for in the armor slot. You would think of, well, you could try Frostburn. Is it really that great to give enemies a freeze chance? Like, you're already having more toughness. I think there's a couple other options. I can't think off the top of my head. For the most part, the armor slot is pretty weak for the dashing strike build. But Cinder Coat is ridiculous because it reduces the cost of your fire abilities by 30%. And with this new build, remember, the big thing is you want to really conserve / use your spirit wisely, which is why reduced resource cost is going to be better than cooldown reduction, which is insane to think that's going to be better for monks. Which is why Cinder Coat and Fire is going to be so good, because your dashing strikes will cost even less. It's going to be interesting to see how good reduced resource cost is. Like, I see some people go RCR in their rings instead of crit hit damage or crit chance. I think I'm doing that on one ring. I have a set of rings with just reduced resource cost. I did really well with those. That's what I'm wearing right now. I don't know in the end what will be better. It'll be really fascinating to see the people who really, you know, meta and use websites to do algorithms and shit like that come up with. They'll figure out BIS. So why is cooldown reduction not as important? Like, I don't even think I'm running Beacon of Guitar, which is... It's insane to think monks aren't running that anymore. Or maybe some people will. I don't think it's very useful. When I have more cooldown reduction with this build, I feel like I'm not gaining anything. Because the ring you remove, you do have some options. You could remove Rorg. So, I guess you could run cooldown reduction with Rorg and try and sneak in another set. I think you would actually be doing worse off, because that means you're going to lose either String of Years or Eye of Edich, or I guess your Bracer, but you obviously need Spirit Guards. So basically, if you're going to do all of that, you'd basically move away from Fire, probably, and then maybe there would be an interesting cold build that didn't run Cinder Coat or Zodiac and got some more sets with Rorg, and then use Spirit Guards there. I don't know. That would be the only way I could really see it working. But with this, Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac reduces your cooldowns by 1 second every attack, a random one. So basically, you're always feeling like you're having Breath of Heaven, you're always feeling like you're having Inner Saint, and you can keep that damage up and that spirit regen up. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you understood a little